Everyone keeps saying, why haven't home prices crashed yet? Because on paper, it looks like it should have happened already. Hey, I'm Leslie Duvernay, California based realtor, investor, and landlord coach, and I help my clients and students every single day figure out how to actually win in the market, no matter what kind of market we're in, with the right strategy. And right now, strategy is more important than ever. Inventory is up in some areas, and buyers are moving a lot slower than they did before. Plus, rates have now shot up to the highest they have been in quite some time. But what's happening right now is actually way more important if you're thinking about selling. We're not in a crash, we're not in a frenzy. We are in a strategy market. Right now, some homes are selling in days, some homes are sitting for weeks, and some homes are getting multiple offers. And that's the thing. We're seeing this in similar neighborhoods, similar price points, but each home is moving at a different pace. And that's the big shift that we're seeing. The biggest challenge is buyers aren't just looking at the sold comparables anymore. They are actively comparing your home against everything on the market. So even if you're 3 to 5% overpriced, your listing can become invisible. And once you sit, you start chasing the market down. Now, perfect example of this lately, if you're a seller, I just had a call with a buyer and the buyer's like, man, the property's been on the market for 57 days. Like, why has it been sitting for so long? 57 days really isn't that long. And once your property starts sitting, you start chasing the market backwards. Now, this is where most sellers lose the most amount of money. Buyers decide if they're interested in your property within the first 15 seconds. So they're assessing the lighting, the condition of the property, the layout, the cleanliness, and of course the smell. Not doing the most basic prep right now is going to lead to an immediate price reduction in the buyer's mind. Now, I'm not talking a full-blown HGTV renovation. I'm talking about the simple prep steps, which is cleanliness, creating a bright presentation, professional photography and professional marketing, and presenting the property well overall. Now, when it comes to pricing is not a guessing game, it's a positioning game. Now, there are 3 pricing strategies that we're using right now. There's market aligned pricing, demand driven pricing, which is our favorite strategy, and premium pricing, but only when that property makes sense. Now, market aligned pricing is simply pricing your property along with the most recent comparables. However, what we're seeing is that even if we pull comparables from the last 30 days, oftentimes the market is in a different position than when we actually go to list the property. Demand driven pricing is actually going slightly below the most recent comparable sales that are as close to your property as possible, and then going just slightly below that to generate more demand. And then premium pricing is when your property has a celebrity factor, something that's extremely unique that can justify us pricing the property above all of the other properties. The biggest mistake that I see, and it's not only just right now in general, is there are those sellers who want to just throw a list price on the property and see what happens. But sadly, in the market that we're in, buyers are smarter than you think. Same with rental tenants. They're looking at the history of the property. So if you go on and you sit on the market, buyers are going to see that data. So when you first go active, that is the most important time to try not to miss the mark. There's no wait and see, because all you do is add a listing history of not being successfully sold. And those buyers are going to want even bigger discounts when they see that. And if you don't cut your price fast enough, then you're just going to continue to sit on the market. And at that point in time, you lose leverage because buyers are going to feel like they need to get a deal, and they're going to wonder, just like the call that I had the other day with a buyer. They're like 57 days on market. Why is the property sitting for so long? Granted, 57 days is not that long, but to a buyer, 57 days seems like the property is sitting. We want to avoid that. The sellers who are winning in today's market are those who are prepping the property. They are prepping properly, pricing their property strategically, not just throwing up a list price and hoping and waiting for an offer to see what happens. They're doing all of their disclosures and due diligence up front, and they understand what their competition that's active on the market, because buyers are, remember, they are comparing your property to everything else that they're looking at on the market. Even if the neighborhood is different, it could be that the property is a 4-bedroom over here in one zip code and then a 4-bedroom over there in a completely different zip code. They are still comparing you to those properties. And the last thing is where your agent comes in is your presentation and making sure that your property is presented as well as possible, especially when it comes to online, which is where everybody starts. And that's it. There's no shortcuts to this process. Now, if you're thinking about selling this year, go ahead and download my seller guide, or you can book a strategy call with me. I'll help you price your property right, how to position it correctly, what steps you need to take to prep your property, and ultimately how to avoid leaving money on the table. So overall, if you are a seller in 2026 and we're coming into the hot spring market, which I would say is not so hot right now because of the situation we're in with interest rates and World War III and all of these other things, strategy is critical and more critical than ever. So again, if you want to work on this, book a strategy call with me. And as always, make it a great day.